Rose rust, its symptoms and how to deal with it. Rose rust is commonly known as rose black spots. It is a type of fungi which is carried through the air on spores and infects plants. There are many different varieties of this type of fungi. One of them, and that specifically affects roses, is called Phragmidium tuberculatum. The spores overwinter on the in the soil, and they germinate and grow on the foliage in the spring. It's now July, and you can see that this plant is quite terribly covered in rose rust, and really the only course of action here is just to cut this right back. What teliospores are the stage 1 of the rust's life cycle. That's spore number 1, and it can be identified by the orange underneath the leaf, and in early spring season the first identifiable symptoms of rose rust are yellow dots on the leaf. That is teliospores sort of producing more fruiting bodies and sporangia, and producing more spores which are then going to just spread far and wide and infect further plants. When you see that early in the season, you can cut it back. So you can do sort of like an early spring prune early in the season when you first see the symptoms of rose rust developing, and that is one of the ways that you can prevent further onset of the rust. Some varieties of roses are more susceptible, particularly hybrid teas and old roses. You can get the new highly hybridized and cultivated roses which are more resistant to rose rust, and if you were to look around the nursery, you'll notice that it's the old roses, old shrub roses and hybrid teas that tend to get the rose rust. But however, if you still want to grow roses, and you particularly like the hybrid teas, and if you're in Cornwall where it's a bit damp and rainy, which is the perfect environment for the spores, a few measures can be taken early on in the season, which is just cutting it back if you see the spores growing, cultural techniques of cleaning away detritus, and if you've just let a rose go and there's loads of new spores on it, I would just get on with it and just cut it back, and make sure that you just tidy the remains away, and probably burn it would be the best course of action. Maybe just cut that there. Always go into an outward facing bud, so that you're encouraging new growth to face outwards, so you get a lovely framework. And as you know, roses love a hard prune, so this is actually just going to encourage lots of new growth, which will be healthier. And just cut. Alternatively, you can spray with a fungicide, but you'll have to do a lot of repetitive spraying throughout the season to do that, and there are lots of different types of fungicides on the market. So there we are. So cutting them right back, as I've done here, is one of the ways of dealing with the disease. As you can see, new growth will just shoot. It's important not to overfeed to create too much green luscious growth, because again that's really soft and that will be susceptible to the rust. Keep them spread apart. Air circulation also helps. So that's it. The parasitic rust, Phragmidium tuberculatum, rose rust, and how to deal with it.